People love Christmas and look forward to it every year. But what would happen if it was every day? Many retail stores, grocery stores, banks, schools, and businesses close around Christmas Day. Without them being open, the economy would be at an extreme low point. People won't get full access to food, money, clothes, or other goods. Kids wouldn't get a decent education unless they're being homeschooled by their parents. And their own money and resources would be drained real fast since they have to keep up with bills and expenses to keep Christmas going. According to Exploding Topics, Americans spend an average of over $997 on gifts and holiday items each Christmas, which taken into the account that the median pre-tax weekly salary is $1,001. That means we roughly spend a week's salary on Christmas gifts, food, decorations, and travel if we wish to visit family and friends elsewhere. Now imagine if Christmas was every day. If we were to tally that expense up for 1 year, we would have to spend $363,905 just to maintain Christmas. That's not even accounting gas, electric, water, or waste disposal bills to maintain our home, or covering the internet, phone, or even streaming bills on top of that. According to Forbes, the average national rent price in the United States is $1,372 a month, or $16,464 a year. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the median amount of money people spend on their mortgage is $1,672 a month, or $20,064 a year. According to the Consumer Expenditure Survey by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, Americans spend a monthly average of $429.33 per month on utilities, or $5,151.96 per year, which is 10% of the average person's yearly income. For an average American who's renting, their yearly minimum expense to maintain Christmas every day for a year would add up to $385,520.96. For an average American who has a mortgage, their yearly minimum expenses would be $389,120.96. And remember, you're not going to work since it's Christmas, so you won't have any income coming your way to pay for the expenses. Sadly, it would mean that people wouldn't pay their rent or bills and would have to live differently, such as a smaller home or at worst a homeless shelter. Our food resources would deplete so fast that certain fruits, vegetables, grains, and drinks would get more expensive due to their scarcity. Popular meats to eat around the holidays, such as beef, chicken, and pork, would jack up to higher prices than they are now because there wouldn't be enough to keep up with the demand. For people who use real trees as their Christmas trees, it would be chopped down to the point of deforestation levels, which is really bad for the environment and for the animals who live in the forest where the trees come from. To make a long statement short, Christmas every day would be more catastrophic than cheerful. To round up my look back in adaptations based on Christmas Every Day by William Dean Howells, I'm going to be covering what may be the first adaptation, the 1986 adaptation of Christmas Every Day that aired on CBS. The special begins with a family preparing for Christmas. The couple, George and Grace, are putting up decorations for the tree, and Lucy, the youngest in the family, is writing a long list for what she wants for Christmas. Lucy wishes that it was Christmas every day, but her father told her it was a terrible idea because his mother Matilda made that exact same wish.
Your father's right. Just don't make that wish, Lucy. That's all.
But why? What's the matter with it?
Yeah, why? I guess you better tell them the story, George.
What story?
You're right, Grace. It'll make the perfect story on Christmas Eve.
100 years ago, Matilda, or Tilly for short, receives a Christmas ornament in the shape of a castle from her father. He tells her that the ornament was magical because a Christmas fairy lived in it and would grant people wishes. While the family went to the library to have eggnog and popcorn, Tilly wishes that it would be Christmas every day forever. The Christmas fairy appears and was concerned for Tilly's wish.
But if I make it Christmas every day, you'll have nothing to look forward to.
I'll look forward to it every day.
Oh, my. And if I grant your wish for Christmas every day forever and ever, there's no ungranting it.
Wonderful. I love Christmas.
Oh, my. Well, in that case, you may have Christmas every day, but only for a year, I think. And then we'll see about having it longer.
But a year's hardly any time at all.
Oh, my. Trust me on this one, kid.
The next day, it's Christmas, and Tilly and her family have a wonderful time with a Christmas feast and presents. The father receives a scarf, the mother receives a hat, the older daughter receives a dress, and Tilly receives a doll. The parents bring out one final surprise for the kids, and it's a puppy. The next morning, it's Christmas again, and the same Christmas feast and presents were given to everyone.
Pete, isn't it time for the surprise?
What?
You know, the special surprise we planned.
The special surprise we planned?
Behind you, the basket.
Oh, of course. Again? Well, family, this gift will demand a great deal of responsibility on the part of all you children.
A puppy! A puppy! Yippee! A puppy! I'll name this one Spot.
Who's going to have to take care of Spot and Rover?
On the third day, it's Christmas again, and everyone has started to become tired of it.
It's Christmas! It's Christmas! 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 Christmas!
Don't be ridiculous. It was Christmas yesterday. And the day before.
Well, it's Christmas again today. Come see! It's Christmas! It's Christmas again!
They ate the same feast and received the same gifts. Day after day, week after week, it was Christmas, and everyone was already fed up with it. It wasn't affecting just the family, but everyone was going through the same Christmas routine. Months have passed, and things have turned for the worst. Turkeys have gone extinct, and people are charging as much as $5,000 for a hummingbird for Christmas dinner. Cranberries cost $0.10 a piece. All the trees for the Christmas trees have been cut down. People have gotten so deprived of their money from spending it on gifts and food that they have to live in the poorhouse. People end up wearing rags. They have unopened Christmas presents that they have to store into their houses and their barns. Carolers are having hoarse voices from singing every day, and each holiday is celebrated with a Christmas theme. Tilly is afraid of confessing to her family that it was her fault that Christmas is every day. She tries talking to the castle ornament, hoping that the Christmas fairy is there to undo the wish.
Oh, I wish I'd never asked for Christmas every day. Oh, please, Christmas fairy. Please hear me, please.
But nothing happens. She reaches her breaking point around her birthday. They bring out a hummingbird with candles and sing a Christmas-themed birthday song. She runs into her room under her bed sheets and cries, wishing that she never made the wish in the first place.
I promise I'll never wish for anything ever again. I'll help my mother with the dishes. I'll walk all 239 dogs. And I'll even be nice to my sister Franny for a whole 3 months. But please, stop making it be Christmas!
It's your fault it's Christmas every day. Your fault.
When the townspeople found out, they walked by the house and ignored her. Well, even her friends wouldn't play with her anymore.
Hi, Anna. Hi, Betty. Hi, Bobby. Hi, Johnny.
Even none of the 240 dogs would have anything to do with her.
Fetch number 229.
Tilly was so very depressed and so sure that no one anywhere loved her anymore, she decided there was only one thing left to do.
I'm running away, Mrs. Jones.
Good.
And so the little girl who wished for Christmas every day decided to run away from home, never to return ever again.
But her parents stopped her and told her that they would love and support her no matter what. When the actual Christmas day came and went, Tilly makes one last attempt to talk to the Christmas fairy, hoping that tomorrow would be a regular day and that the year-long Christmas everyday cycle has ended. The next morning, Christmas was over, and everyone was cheering and celebrating.
Maybe we should leave it Christmas once a year. Everyone seemed to be happy with that, and I had something to look forward to. And it's important to have things to look forward to, don't you think?
Oh, my, yes. Well, until next year at this time, Merry Christmas, Tilly dear, and toodaloo.
As the story ends, Lucy approaches the castle ornament and thinks about what to wish for.
I wish I was in bed right now, dreaming of how wonderful tomorrow is going to be. Oh, well. Merry Christmas anyway, Christmas fairy.
Merry Christmas, Lucy dear, and sweet dreams.
As she's carried off to bed by magic and falls asleep dreaming how great Christmas will be, the Christmas fairy opens the window and flies off as the credits roll. This was a great Christmas special that I feel is very underrated and needs more attention. The animation is unique, being cutout animation, which you don't get to see very often in Christmas specials. It's expressive, colorful, and detailed. Yes, the movements are limited compared to 2D, 3D, and even stop-motion animation, but they're not without their charm. It has some sprinkles of purple prose describing the characters or the situations, which makes it really engaging.
Tilly awoke that morning with eyes like muffins and a pounding head.
It's Christmas! It's Christmas! 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 Christmas!
Yay, it's Christmas!
The writing has some quirky humor that can go a bit sarcastic or dark in some places, but is overall light, whimsical, and sweet. Out of all the Christmas Everyday adaptations, this is the most authentic to the original short story. It's a unique tale that doesn't involve with a typical grumpy person who doesn't like or understand Christmas, or trying to save Christmas from being canceled due to an unfortunate event involving with Santa Claus getting injured, or forgetting about delivering presents to a person or to the entire world, or Christmas meaning so much more than the presents, but the joy of giving and goodwill toward men. You get what I'm saying. It's a cautionary tale of being careful what you wish for, and that getting it would be so much different than what you would expect. It's sad to think that there have been at least 3 adaptations that follow William Dean Howells' writing. This special, The Fairly Odd Parents' Christmas Every Day, and even Sesame Street's Elmo Saves Christmas, which surprised me. Other than that, they've all taken cues from the 1996 Christmas Every Day adaptation, which was clearly influenced by Groundhog Day. And from the looks of it, this trend isn't going away anytime soon. Overall, if you haven't seen this special, check it out on YouTube. It may not be right up there with the Rankin Bass Christmas specials, A Charlie Brown Christmas, or How the Grinch Stole Christmas in terms of iconography, or one of the mandatory specials that you have to tune into every year. It's a charming special in its own right.
Something did happen that Christmas Eve.
And Father will tell you what happened after we all get into our pajamas.
Is it good?
Well,
Is it bad?
well,
What?
you'll see.
Come on, let's go. Let's get
Get
the
in your
pajamas.
jammies,
Hurry up.
everyone.
First, okay, come on.
Christmas Every Day will be right back.
Now you know me, I love knowing about the behind the scenes of making movies, TV shows, and specials. But for Christmas Every Day, there wasn't any. Not even Turner Classic Movies, who is dedicated to showcase and discuss in depth about classic movies, have no information about this special. Similar to what I did for the look back on the You Don't Know Jack game show video, I decided to get in contact with people who were either involved or had worked on the special, and boy, do I have some interesting information to share for all of you. First of all, we have to step back a bit and talk about the man who helped put together this special, Dick Orkin. Born on July 9th, 1933 in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, Dick was a radio announcer and producer. He started at the age of 16 working as a fill-in/announcer at WKOK/Sunbury. In the 60s, he moved to Chicago and worked on the radio station WCFL, where he produced many comedy radio commercials, mini-dramas, and radio shows. His most famous radio show he created were Chicken Man, that aired from 1966 to 69, Amazon Ace, that aired in 1967, The Secret Adventures of Tooth Fairy, that aired in 1971, and The Masked Middleman, that aired in 1976, celebrating America's bicentennial.
Now, another exciting episode in the life of the most fantastic crime fighter the world has ever known.
In 1973, he created his own production studio, Dick Orkin's Radio Ranch, and in 1978, he moved to Los Angeles and continued producing radio dramas, comedies, and commercials. This is where I mentioned some crucial people who made this animated special possible. First, there's Christine Coyle Johnson. She was Dick Orkin's creative partner for over 20 years, starting in 1978. Together with Dick Orkin and actress Miriam Flynn, they had worked on various TV series like America Alive and The Tim Conway Show, as well as being one of the writers of Christmas Every Day with Marla Frumkin, her late husband Peter Seltzer, and Dick Orkin himself. Thanks to Dick's daughter, Lisa, who is the current owner and producer of Radio Ranch, she got me in touch with Christine and went more in depth about how Christmas Every Day came to be, such as what made them decide to adapt it in the first place. She said, "I believe that it was Thea that picked Christmas Every Day. There were several benefits. It could see how it could be made relevant to today's audience. And it was charming. We recognized that the original story gave us multiple visual opportunities, but it was only about 2 to 3 pages. Written in the 1890s, it had the appeal to a new audience, while still paying homage to Howell's creation. The solution was to have a new story inside the original story. There were 2 families, and each had a little girl who wished for the same thing. Christmas Every Day. Marla and Peter worked together as Dick and I merged pages together to create the script. The script was sent to Thea, and her notes were incorporated to what would become the final script. The Thea Christine was referring to is Thea Flom, who was an executive producer of Chicago's public TV station, WTTW at the time. You may know her for creating the PBS show Sneak Preview, starring movie critics Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. Together with Dick Orkin, they created Orkin Flom Productions, where their goal was to create programs for families. Thea then proposed that Calabash Animation would be the one to work on the special. Calabash Animation is an animation studio in Chicago that was founded in 1985 by Ed Newman and his wife, Monica Kindle. They're mostly known for animating for commercials promoting products like Coors Light Beer, Trix, Lucky Charms, Hamburger Helper, Little Caesars, The Jolly Green Giant, Cocoa Puffs, Mr. Clean, Charlie Tuna, and the Keebler Elves. They also animated Space Jam, Jonah, a VeggieTales movie, the Oscar-nominated short Stubble Trouble, and segments on the basketball documentary On the Shoulders of Giants, co-written by NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Their work is amazingly diverse, from 2D, 3D, stop motion, and cutout animation. While they might not be as well known as an animation company like Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, or Laika, Calabash does really great stuff that is overlooked due to being 30-second commercials, or you didn't even know that they animated it. Well, now you know. Anyway, Ed and Monica accepted Thea's proposal and animated Christmas Every Day. Thanks to Wayne Brecka and Sean Henry, the creative director and executive producer of Calabash, they connected me to Ed and Monica, and they told me how they were called in to animate the Christmas special.
And then Dick and Thea knew each other and were good friends, and they were talking one day, I guess, and they said, hey, why don't we do an animated special? I guess Dick had always been interested in Christmas Every Day, doing the classics in animation. And so they started to, shop around for an animation studio. Well, it turned out that the budget they had wouldn't have paid for a 30-second commercial, let alone a 30-minute animated show.
Yeah.
But she called around in Chicago, and she found that we were a local animation shop and called us up, and we met with her, and we were excited by the project, and we ended up developing our own style of cut paper animation, which is, with traditional animation at that time. This was really before the days of computer animation, or just at the very beginning of it. Traditionally an animated special like that would have been done in cell animation, where they do dozens of drawings per second, and then paint them on painted cells, and then photograph them and gets backgrounds, and it's highly labor intensive and extremely expensive, and there was no way they could do a half-hour special that way. But we offered them the idea that we could do it with cut paper puppets, which means you draw and then cut out little human figures in paper, and then you make a little puppet with jointed little arms and legs and heads that are jointed, so the animator can move the paper puppet under the camera, because you can do it very relatively cheaply. You can animate an entire scene with one cutout puppet rather than thousands of cell drawings. Mm-hmm. And we were able to bring it in a budget that they could afford, and it worked out very well.
With only 6 months and 10 people to work on Christmas Every Day before its deadline, Ed and Monica painstakingly made sure that every movement of the paper cutout characters was done to the best of their abilities for long periods at a time. Other than that, it was a fairly easy production with no mandates on the voice talent, music, or story direction. Even Christine states that they were spoiled by the process. Nowadays, animated casting is driven by which celebrity is available. So many wonderful voiceover actors have been cut from the casting. We actually had more meddling/constraints in a few of our commercial projects than the Christmas special. For animation fans who believe that only movies and TV shows are affected by this, sadly even radio is affected by this. In the podcast Talkin' Tunes with Rob Paulson, voice actress April Winchell recalls being recast as a voiceover for the California Cows radio spots after doing it for several years.
I got a call last year from my agent saying they want you to read for, go down to Elaine Craig. Mm-hmm. So already I have to leave my house, which I'm not loving.
And Elaine Craig is one of the premier commercial voice casting agencies in town.
In Hollywood.
In Hollywood, yeah.
I get down, I'm like, I really don't want to, but okay, I get it. It's a commercial, it's a national, it's good money. But I've been doing this job for like 15 years. Right. You know, I've been doing these freaking cows for I don't know how long. And in fact, the radio campaign, I created it.
Wow.
And it was me and Tress and Corey Burton.
Right.
So, I mean, I know these people already.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I get it. All right. And it wasn't like it was one radio, in which case I'd be like,
you would never done it, but it was part of the campaign.
It was part of the campaign. It was good money. I knew it was good money. So I was like, all right. And at the beginning, it was like 3 commercials. So I was like, okay, all right. So I go down there and I read.
This is after you've been a cow for a long time.
For a long time. For them in this campaign.
Unbelievable.
Not like,
isn't that crazy?
Not like transferable skills like, hey, do you know I'm a cow for Disney? Does that count? You know, it's like this job.
Yeah.
So I go down there and I read for it and I come home. And so about 3 days later, I get a phone call from my agent saying, they want you at the callback. And I was like, really? No. Come on. And the callback, for if people are not familiar with that terminology, is that you've done well at the first audition, so you are called back.
And they sort of whittle it down. And they thin the herd, as it were.
And they call you back, and then this time they may direct you or work with you a little bit to get a sense of, you know. And I said to my agent, I said, you know, I think the last 15 years of work should be the callback.
Yeah, good for you.
You know, and I don't usually get precious about it. You know,
you're not bitchy.
So I am, but I never get precious about auditioning. If I'm, it's very, like I said, this is like the only time I can think of that I refused. But they wanted me to go down to Venice.
Oh, dear.
At 4:00 in the afternoon.
No, that's a long ride.
It's a long ride. Yeah. You're stuck in traffic both ways. Right. It's to go in there in front of people you worked for 15 years to do what they've heard you do. It's a little demeaning, It's a little, you know. Yeah. So I said to them, I said, I will trust you as my agent. You tell me if I'm being precious and annoying. And they said, you know, in this case, I feel like you're right. You know, they should just give it to you. I was like, okay, fine. And I said, they're not going to give it to me because I didn't have the callback. And she says, okay, well, that's, you know that going in. Okay. Right. So they don't give me the job. Right. I'm like, fine.
It's a shame that voice actors don't get the same critical praise from mainstream audiences. Their dedication to their craft has always been taken for granted, whether in commercials, TV shows, or films. #justice for voice actors. It was thanks to Thea's connection that the special would find a television network to air on. That person was Ray Sully. He had worked with Thea on sneak previews as an executive producer. Fun fact, when you see the intro, those are his hands buying the tickets, popcorn, candy, and soda. After the show ended in 1981, he moved to Los Angeles and worked at CBS to become its executive in charge of production. Today, he's the executive director of the Tower Theater Foundation in Bend, Oregon. The music for Christmas Every Day was composed by famous composer George Daugherty. He was involved in the special due to, once again, his connection with Thea, since they had both worked at WTTW in Chicago. George had composed to major ballet companies and symphony orchestras from New York and Los Angeles to the Sydney Opera House and Royal Philharmonic Concert Orchestra in London. Around the 90s, he was the musical director for various Looney Tunes shorts and specials, such as Chariots of Fur, Another Froggy Evening, Superior Duck, From Here to Eternity, and Bugs Bunny's 51.5 Anniversary Spectacular. His most well-known concert musical was Bugs Bunny on Broadway in 1990, and its sequel, Bugs Bunny at the Symphony in 2010, which is still going on as of the making of this video. George was also a writer and executive producer of the PBS animated series Sagwa the Chinese Siamese Cat. The voiceover talent were mostly veterans of Dick Orkin's radio and television shows. Dick Orkin himself played as the dad who told Lucy and her siblings the story of his mother Matilda.
Believe what you wish, but remember, if you wish for what you believe you want, you
just might get it.
Marla Frumpkin, one of the writers of Christmas Every Day, played Lucy and her mother.
Oh, I love Christmas.
Don't you think it's time for bed, young lady?
Oh.
Miriam Flynn, who worked with Dick on the Tim Conway Show, played as Tilly's mom and older sister.
What a nice... Now, I'm sure I received something like this before.
Oh, what a nice dress. Oh, I need all the clothes I can get. Oh.
You may know Miriam for notable roles such as Cousin Catherine in the National Lampoon films, Helen, Tessa's grandmother in Suburgatory, Jean Devil, the mother of Taz, Jake, and Molly in Tasmania, Coop's mom in Megas XLR, Mrs. Tabuti in Chalk Zone, and Littlefoot's grandmother in the Land Before Time sequels and TV series. Edie McClurg played as the Christmas Fairy. You may know Edie for roles such as Hermit Hattie on The Pee Wee Herman Show, the car rental agent in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Grace in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Aunt Ruth in Bobby's World, and Violet Stimpleton in Rocket Power.
Oh, Doodles. Oh, Merry Christmas, ma'am. Oh, how very nice of you. Thank you. And a Merry Christmas to you. Every single day of the next year.
Next is Brian Cummings, no relation to Jim Cummings, who voiced both Lucy and Tilly's brother. You may know him as a TV and movie announcer for Alf, many Disney and Touchstone movie trailers, Sokolov in the Metal Gear Solid video games, and Mr. Hollywood in Two Stupid Dogs.
Well, we do not skateboard in the living room.
Okay, Dad. Isn't it time for the basket?
What?
The surprise.
What surprise would that be?
Oh,
the basket. Well, family, this gift will demand...
A great deal of responsibility.
Right.
Bye.
Finally, there's Stacey Q. Daniels as Tilly. She was one of Dick's engineers at the time, but they cast her because they felt that she had a great realistic kid voice. She's mostly known as a Foley mixer/engineer and ADR mixer for TV shows and movies such as The Larry Sanders Show, Halloween Town, Roswell, The Devil's Rejects, Little Miss Sunshine, Veronica Mars, Grey's Anatomy, Captain Jake and the Neverland Pirates, Criminal Minds, Fringe, Breaking Bad, Pretty Little Liars, Elementary, El Camino, Chucky, What We Do in the Shadows, Better Call Saul, and many, many more. The only other time she did voice acting was for a 2019 interactive Choose Your Own Adventure game called They Came in Outer Space, where it plays like a 1950s B sci-fi film. Interestingly enough, it was co-written and directed by Harris Orkin, Dick Orkin's son, who is a voice actor and writer for books, video games, and films.
But what if the fairy forgets about me and never comes back? What if it never stops being Christmas?
Well, we'll just have to hope for the best and stick it out as bravely as we can.
Even though everyone hates me for what I did.
As for the voice acting process, this was the first time that they had ever recorded long audio pieces that would be animated. So what they ended up doing was having all the actors coming in and recording their respected scenes. This surprised them since they were used to coming into a studio alone and recording their lines without the other talent beside them. For the most part, the recording was done in order of the storyline, with a few exceptions. Since it was a SAG-AFTRA production, they only had most of their talent for a limited amount of time. To avoid having to book additional sessions for talent at an additional cost, they recorded Edie McClurg alongside Stacey Q. Daniels and Marla Frumpkin for one session out of order. Other than that, they loved working as a group, and there was a lot of energy and laughter during sessions. The collaboration between Orkin Flom Productions and Calabash Animation worked out so well that they would do another animated special 2 years later in 1988, The Canterbury Ghost, based on a short story written by Oscar Wilde. That's a really interesting special in its own right. We'll cover that on Halloween. Christmas Every Day aired on CBS in December of 1986 and would air on television for several years. It even syndicated on the USA Network around the early 90s. When asking Ed and Monica about the special's legacy years later, they're very proud of what they were able to accomplish. I then asked Christine if Dick was proud of how Christmas Every Day and the Canterbury Ghost turned out. She said, Dick and all involved were very happy with the results. At his core, Dick was an actor, and being able to create characters that lived longer than 60 seconds were very satisfying to him. He loved all actors, so spending a day with them creating was heaven. With his background in psychology, being able to create pieces for children that had positive messages were also fulfilling. As for Christine herself, she said, I spent the last few days reading the many comments and user reviewers on Christmas Every Day and the Canterville Ghost. It was delightful. Seeing that many of the viewers still remember Christmas Every Day with fondness and would love to see it again, as a writer and director, you can't beat that feeling. Although Christmas Every Day hasn't aired on television since the mid-90s, it has garnered a small but dedicated cult following where people have shared their memories of watching it on forum posts, blog reviews, and YouTube videos. I'm glad because it's, in my opinion, the definitive adaptation on William Dean Howells' short story. For those who want to see the true essence of this classic tale come to life, this is the one I would check out. It's humble in its presentation, but it strikes hard where it matters most. Its timeless message that even good intentions can lead to catastrophic consequences. We should be appreciative that something amazing, magical, and joyful such as Christmas comes only once a year. And that's okay.
And a Merry Christmas to all of you.